Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, which I do have quite a few new subscribers, my name is Lindsay. I make videos on minimalism, frugal living, homeschooling, just a vast array of subjects. Anyways, I'm so glad you're here, and today we are going to talk about 15 things that I will not do as a self-proclaimed frugal person. So I have my computer here because I write my notes down. So if you see me looking down, that's why. Anyways, so there are a lot of things that I will do to save money. However, there are things that I will not do. And if you do these things, that's fine. There's no judgment from me for you doing these things. But these are just things that I won't do because it either saves me money in the long run or it saves me time. And sometimes time is more valuable than saving an extra 50 cents to $1. So don't take personal offense if you do some of these things, because I probably do frugal things that you wouldn't do and vice versa. So this is just my list. You can add yours down in the comments below and let's get started. So the first thing that I will not do is eat a ramen noodle diet. And the reason for that is, one, I just don't think it's good for you in the long run. It's going to cause more medical problems. It's pretty much void of nutrition. And then two, I had gestational diabetes with my last daughter. And so I am at a high risk for diabetes. And so I try and eat a very clean, whole food, low-ish carb diet. And so I will pay extra for quality food. Number two, I will not cut out every single want out of my budget. Now hear me when I say that when we were getting out of debt, we did cut every single thing out of our budget, but we are debt free, we rent, we are saving for a house, so we have cut back on those wants, but I do not cut out every single want. I just make sure that we budget for it and that we have the cash to pay for it because we don't use debt. Number three, not doing experiences in the name of saving money. We do limit what we do because obviously certain things can cost a lot of money, but we do try to encourage experiences with our kids if we can get a discount, or if we can go on a day where it's cheaper, or if we can find a similar experience that maybe doesn't cost quite as much, we will go that route. But we do not cut out every single experience in the name of saving money. Number four is we will not go without health insurance or dental insurance. I'm just not willing to take that risk. If you are, that's okay, but that's just not something that we are willing to do. And so we will always pay for health insurance and for dental insurance. I, in my mind, am kind of a worst case scenario person. And so having that insurance helps me sleep better at night. The next one is cutting out all fun money or spending money. We didn't even do this when we were paying off debt. Granted, it was a small amount, but we have always had our personal fun money, personal spending money. I think it helps you stay within your budget easier, and it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So if you want that soda, or if you want a snack, or whatever the case may be, you have a few extra dollars in your budget to be able to buy that guilt-free. And so even when we were paying off debt, and even now, we still incorporate a little bit of personal spending in our budget so that we don't feel too restricted and then just blow up our budget. The next thing that I won't do is buy cheap products just to buy cheap products and not love them. I will spend more money on one thing that I love than 5 things that are just kind of mediocre. So I will not just buy cheap just because it's cheap, just to save money. Now, if it's a cheap product that's just as good of a quality as the more expensive thing, then yes, I will buy the cheaper thing. But I will not buy cheap just to buy cheap. I know that it's not my favorite thing in the world, then I will buy the more expensive item. The next one is fast fashion. I will not buy clothes that wear and tear easily to where I'm constantly having to replace them. I don't shop on these trendy fast fashion websites. I try and buy good quality shirts, and my shirts typically last for several years. And I actually don't even shop for clothes that often anyways. And the clothes that I do buy, even if they tend to cost more, I try and take care of them so they last for years and years and years. The next thing that I won't do to save money is keep just in case items. The minimalists talk about this all of the time, keeping things just in case you may need them one day. We don't do that. They have the 20-20 rule, is if you can replace it for less than $20 in less than 20 minutes and it's a just in case item, you can go ahead and get rid of that. So we try not to keep just in case items. That is different than just for when items. So if we have an extra toothpaste or an extra whatever and we know that we are going to use it, we're just not using it right now, that's different. But if I have this random cord that I don't know what it goes to and I'm keeping it just in case, we go ahead and get rid of that. So that's kind of the difference between just for when and just in case. Next, I have seen this trend on social media, YouTube, just different places where people will say that they aren't doing car maintenance to save money, and so they're not getting their oil changed, they're not getting their tires changed. First of all, that's just a major safety hazard. Second of all, you're going to destroy your car and then you're going to have to go and buy a different car, and that different car is going to cost a lot more than the 200 bucks you should have spent on preventative maintenance anyways. And so being a former mechanic in the military, I am all about preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance saves you so much more than the alternative. And so we will pay for preventative maintenance every single time. I've kind of lost count on what number I'm on, but the next thing is cutting out life insurance. So none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. So I highly recommend that you put your faith in Jesus, because listen, we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So just go ahead and put your faith in the resurrection from the dead, put your faith in Jesus, it'll all be okay. But because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, my husband and I, we both have life insurance, and that is something that we will continue to pay for, because if something happens to him, I need that money to replace his income. And if something happens to me, while my income's not that big, he would have to have money for extra expenses like full-time childcare, all of that stuff. So both of us have life insurance. Another thing that I've seen on social media is, or maybe I heard it from Dave Ramsey, people calling in saying that they bought a new car just to save on repairs or to save on gas. We drive old cars. Our newest car is an 11-year-old model, and our oldest car is pushing 20. I think it's at like 17. And so we do not buy new cars. Now, in the event that one of our cars had a major issue that cost more, like way more than the car was even worth, then yes, we would go and buy a different vehicle. But we don't buy new, we buy used. And I would not get rid of a vehicle just to save on gas. That just seems ridiculous to me. You're gonna have to drive that car to the moon and back to make up the difference. So next, and this is something that we would cut out if we were in a dire situation. So hear me when I say, like, some of these things, if we were in a dire situation, we would cut it out. But we're not in a dire situation, and so just isn't something I'm willing to cut to save some money, and that is AAA. I just said that we have old vehicles, we've had batteries that have gone out, we've had alternators that have gone out, and AAA has saved us multiple times. We love AAA. So if you don't have AAA and you have older vehicles, I highly recommend it. And then we also don't take freebies. I do not like freebies. I don't take them. I try not to let them accumulate. Like, my kids will bring home stuff from school, like that's fine. But as a general rule of thumb, I myself do not take freebies from conventions, from conferences, from work, whatever. I just say no to free items unless it's an actual need. So like my work just gave us all free sweatshirts, and I don't mind like logos, not Legos. I don't mind logos, and so one of my sweatshirts that I had, I actually just got a big humongous bleach stain on, and I have a paint stain on it, and so it's looking pretty raggedy. So I'm going to probably toss that one and replace it with this free sweatshirt that I just got from work. So I'm not always against freebies, but 9 times out of 10, I will turn them down unless it's something that I need and I can replace something that I have that's wearing out. Because if I can replace something that I have that's wearing out, then I've essentially, you know, replaced that thing for free, which I'll do that to save money any day of the week. Number 14, I do not make everything from scratch. This is a whole other video on how I feel about the trad wife movement, and I'm not a fan. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not a fan of the trad wife movement. I think it's deceptive. I think it's a little icky, and I think that they're not telling the whole story. And I am a Christian. I am a stay-at-home mom. I work a few hours a week outside of the home. I homeschool, all of the things. But the trad wife movement, I feel, is one, they're making a buttload of money off of it, off of, you know, telling you that your life should, you know, look exactly like theirs, or shaming you for working outside of the home while they have a job. Like, traditional housewives in the traditional sense aren't posting about it on social media. Like, these are influencers. They have a job while they're shaming you about having a job outside of the house. It's just, it's maddening, especially as a homemaker and as someone who is thankful for traditional housewives. Like, I think it's a great thing, but I don't like that trad wife sphere. The last one is, I'm not a prepper. I will stock up. If there's a blizzard coming, like, obviously we're gonna have a little bit extra food on hand. If we lived in like hurricane country, then yes, we would have a little bit of extra food on hand. We do store some water for like emergencies. Like, there are things that could happen, but I am not having 6 months of food, 6 months of water, 6 months of medical supplies. I am just not thinking about every single possibility that could ever happen and piling my house up with this stuff. I don't have a secret room somewhere where I store all of this stuff. We try and have about 2 weeks worth of food on hand. I read a statistic somewhere that like the average American doesn't have 72 hours worth of food just in their pantry. Like, not even like prepper food, just normal everyday food. And so yeah, because we try and cut back on grocery trips and because we don't like to shop all of the time, we do usually have about 2 weeks worth of food on hand. And I figure any natural disaster, emergency, if we can get by for 2 weeks, like, that gives us 2 weeks to figure something else out. Other than that, I do not prep. I am not a prepper. You will never see prepping content on my channel. I mean, that may change. I don't want to say never, but in this stage of life, I'm not a prepper. And it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like prepper channels make, they get a lot of views, but it's just not my thing. If it's your thing, that's fine. There is no judgment from me. I think having some supplies on hand is wise, but honestly, like, that mentality would just stress me out so much. Like, trying to plan for every single what if, and I'm already kind of an anxious person, and so if I went down that rabbit hole, I probably would not come back for it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye.